Welcome to Future Hood Movie Gems. I am Jordan. This is my wife,
Tatiana.
and we have a very special movie to talk about today. This movie I thought was amazing.
I did too. I liked it. I was surprised. Came in very low expectations.
Yes, I don't even know where to start because there's lots of like mixed feelings going on right now because I've seen the reviews. I get it. It's on the lowest end of all the Marvel movies. People I admire very much have said that they did not care for it, or just not that they didn't care for it. What's the right word? They
said that its like script was lacking and it was just not well made, or not that they say it's not well made. They just didn't like the story.
Yeah, exactly. They just felt like there's big things that it kind of knocked it. However, I disagree. I personally, and maybe it's just because I enjoyed WandaVision and kind of building off that universe. But then also we heard from Christian saying that
because he saw WandaVision that he didn't like it.
Yeah, because she was kind of going through that whole development all over again, which is pretty similar to Iron Man 2. Him finally kind of growing as a character from the first movie and literally having to go through the same whole thing in the second movie. It kind of felt, what's the word? Just
like repetitive or cyclical.
Yeah, it just seemed like everything he did was undone, and it was like, oh geez, we gotta watch this. Yeah, we gotta watch this all over again. Like, I mean, there are ways to do that, and there's fun ways to do that, especially if it's like a movie about like addiction or something, and it's like, oh no, we don't want him to go through this all over again,
right?
And to hit rock bottom twice.
Well, and as you say that, I'm thinking like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense with addiction because that's the normal pattern. But that's the normal pattern for everything we do, whether we're technically addicted to something or not. Like, as humans, we make the same mistakes. Like, we might have learned a lesson and then we were like, I'm so stupid.
Just like Star Wars.
I guess I didn't learn it, but we did. We learned it. It just takes a lot of practice.
Just like Star Wars Episode 7 when they just built a bigger Death Star. The villains apparently couldn't learn. And they're just like, maybe if we make it bigger, this will solve a problem. But getting back to Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. And I've also heard like people were hoping they'd explore more of the multiverse, and I do agree with that. They only spent most of the time in one location, which I would have preferred seeing more, because there's that one montage which you said you're like, oh, I was just about to get dizzy because you said there was too much going on.
Oh.
Maybe somebody else told me that.
Well, just now when we were watching the trailer, I was like, that part was cool, and you were like, no, you didn't like that part. I was like,
well, I thought so.
I didn't like the very first part.
In the theater, I thought you said that it was too much. But anyways.
Really? Oh, I could have.
Maybe. I don't remember. I've talked to so many people about this since we've seen it. Like, I'm mixing what they told me with what you told me.
I can see myself, like, being in the moment, being like, oh, I'm dizzy, but like just watching a little clip of it from the trailer, it's not enough to get me dizzy, and I'm like, oh, it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, well, anyways, I thought it was really fun as they were bouncing between universes, and I kind of would have liked that if there was more of that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just seeing more of those universes, because we got to see a split second of it, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Are we going to see a lot more of this throughout the movie? And it was like, no, we're just going to spend the rest of the movie in this one location.
Yeah, you're right.
And, well, I'm going to talk about all the stuff that I absolutely love about this film.
Please do.
Because these are things that personally, and I don't think there's going to be many people with my same, because even people like Red Letter Media, I thought he would, the one guy, I forget his name, but he loves Sam Raimi movies. I would have thought he would have enjoyed it for his style, but I get it. Most of his style is just at the end, but still, I found so much joy in all that stuff. I mean, I love Bruce Campbell's cameo, and he's doing his. I even leaned over to my wife and told her, the director Sam Raimi is a very big fan of Three Stooges, so he's like, squirting ketchup and mustard in his face and like punching himself. Like, that's just very Three Stooges and very Sam.
And I loved it when you told me that exact actor has made similar types of cameos in like all of this director's films. That's so cool. Yeah,
I don't know about every single one, but he has made. I'd have to go through and check, but definitely all the Spider-Mans and Oz the Great and Powerful and this newest one.
Cool.
Okay, so some of the things that I loved, that's funny because this guy I work with said it really bothered him, the whole city with all the people that can like slow down time and stuff. All the, they're not Jedis, but it felt like they were Jedis. But that little city that she comes to, and they all have like a shield around the city.
Oh.
I love that part because it reminds me of Army of Darkness when all the Deadites come to attack them in the city. And it totally reminds me because they're all shooting arrows at her. And the guy I work with said, like, they wouldn't be shooting arrows, like, they'd be using their magic. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. And the part where she, like, gets in that one guy's head and he runs and then the shield goes down, like, that totally reminded me of an episode of Rick and Morty when Rick calls him a fart, but he's the guy from, what's that musical? He sings Shiny. What's that guy? He's in Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, Flight of the Conchords guy.
So he gets in somebody's head. He's like, I'll deal with these people. And he like flies down and he like gets in this guy's head and he's like, oh, I think your girlfriend's cheating on you. And so the guy crashes his airplane into everybody else and it blows up. And it kind of reminded me of this. Like she got in the guy's head, came up behind him and said, run. And then he ran and then the shield went down.
Yeah.
Very fun. And then there was 2 moments with the eye appearing on his forehead.
Oh, yeah, Doctor Strange's forehead.
Very much Sam Raimi to just have an eye or peek through. Like when it was in the water, there was that eye peeking through. There's a similar scene in Army of Darkness when there's an eye appearing on his on Bruce Campbell's shoulder. And it's just... he has this thing with like, and that used to be like the most disturbing scene for me in Army of Darkness. I was like, I couldn't get that image out of my head. I was like, this is so disturbing. And so every time I see that in one of his movies, I'm like, gosh dang it, I have to relive that moment over and over again. And then there's lots of moments which I thought was just really clever and cool. The witch, how she was like reaching through water and like playing mind games. And I love when
that was cool.
Professor Xavier is like trying to fight her in her mind and he's like trying to help her. I do agree, somebody at work said it should have lasted longer, which there was a lot of things that I do agree that would have been more fun to explore. Like they could have dived more into it.
Yeah, totally. That part. Yeah.
Because they introduced so many little things. They're like, oh, are we going to see more of this? And then I was like, oh no, we're just killing them off really quick. Like John Krasinski's character that everybody in the theater, okay, we saw opening night and everybody in the theater was going nuts. I was like, all right, everybody. Like
for him and all of the 5 people on that panel.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, when the movie first started, this guy's like, is everybody ready?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so obnoxious. And then people were screaming and cheering, and every single time a new character popped in, just like when we saw Spider-Man, it was like even side characters when like Daredevil made a little cameo, people were like screaming and cheering, and I was like, okay. And every new Spider-Man, and now it's like each character, even the guy who has the voice echo thing, I don't know his name, I feel really bad. But people were even cheering for him, and I'm like, I don't know what this person even is. But I thought it was pretty fun when they were dying off, because personally, I thought that was a fun choice. I mean, they've already done it in Invincible and The Boys and other shows that I absolutely love, so I wouldn't say it's anything new, but I am still admiring Disney for at least killing off superheroes, even though they're in an infinite dimension of different people. So
there's
it's
lots of versions of those heroes.
Exactly. So killing them off doesn't really hold any weight, but I was just happy they did. I was like, finally they killed somebody off, because they just never... I mean, they're so not willing to kill off anybody. They're bringing back characters, that were dying. And it was like, okay, like they're not willing to, because then there's no real weight, which I guess there isn't, because there's just millions more versions of this person. However, I'm just happy to see that, because it is kind of turning more into Rick and Morty, I feel like. And you can definitely see a lot of that in Loki. I'm just geeking out personally because I love this kind of stuff. But
I will say Christian's nitpick about that scene was... like, why didn't they all try to attack her at once? Why'd they go one at a time? That's so stupid.
So she could kill him.
Yep. No, I like what you're saying. Actually, the overall purpose of them getting killed off is actually pretty good.
I can see a lot of nitpicks from people being like, it was to further the plot. And the dangerous part about that is, like, you sacrifice like being immersed into the world, because it's like,
oh yeah,
it's like this is only to further the plot.
Yeah, you want it to be a little more realistic, even if they're not going for realism, so that you're, like you said, you're still immersed in the story. And
I think that's the problem, is a lot of people couldn't get immersed because he was breaking so many rules. And I also heard he was changing a lot of things, like
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, okay. Just so his story could work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like the dead zombie thing, like they
that do him.
There's a universe of Marvel zombies. However, the way they're brought back to life isn't by that book. Like you can't actually, you can only access other people that are still alive, according to somebody that I talked to. And you can get mad at him if that's not true, but I don't know. I loved it. I was fine with it, especially because that's such a Sam Raimi thing to do. And like, I know I keep gushing about Sam because I'm like obsessed with his work. I even love the other Disney movie he did, Oz the Great and Powerful, which I know not a lot of people did. So, I mean, if that tells you anything and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy likes that movie, then you don't have to, you know.
Don't give him any credit for what he's saying.
Yeah,
because don't listen.
Because
don't listen
I am biased. I love almost everything he does. The only movie I'm struggling to get into is Darkman, which I guess I just need to finish that movie. Okay, so more little Sam Raimi quirks. I love when they're fighting with music. Maybe that would have happened with another director, but I felt like that was such a creative, fun way to fight when they're playing with different notes. Like, I loved it. I love that he has like a different darker self. Like, that's a common running thing throughout Sam's movies. There's always like him and then his darker self that he's always fighting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of darker selves of Doctor Strange, we learn. In a lot of the universes, he's a little darker, right?
Well, if you have an infinite amount of yourself, then one of them's bound to be evil.
No, but I'm saying it's more like more than 50% are evil.
Well, she said, or he figured out that the majority of them aren't necessarily evil, but they're all selfish. Like, kind of, what's the word? Not selfish, like somebody that's... Is selfish the right word? Like somebody... how would you describe him? He's a person that's kind of like in it for himself. Yeah, I guess selfish is the right word. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I could be... I don't really remember. You don't have to believe me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No. Like, that's his character. Like, you saw the movie. Like, he's somebody that's...
Well, that's getting into the whole theme of, like, what gets in the way of him and Rachel McAdams' relationship. But I'm talking about when he goes full-on evil and... Not full-on evil, but, like, when he does make a super selfish decision.
Yeah, but I see, that's the thing, is I don't feel like he's evil, because being selfish doesn't make you evil. It just makes... You just feel like the world revolves around you, which makes you...
Right.
That doesn't...
But it's not like he had an evil purpose of, like, I want people to suffer just for the sake of suffering.
Exactly.
It was more of, like, he did something selfish, and then that ended up having a toll on him. And...
Well, even, like, when he killed that girl in the beginning, like, he said, like, oh, I've got to kill you, but... Like, he said it in a way that was like, I have to do this because the only way...
To save the universe.
Is to kill you.
Right.
But then he kind of, like, had this evil look in his eye, but, like, I've heard that he is not, necessarily an evil character, but he...
Yeah.
Anyways, beyond all that, it felt very Sam Raimi-esque to me.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I enjoyed it very much. Not a lot of people are enjoying it, so I get it. I did laugh really hard. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I kept it inside, but just it made me smile. The girl had their flashback of her parents, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna cut this because Disney can't, has to make another version where they can send it to China, so they only have like a 2-second scene. I just laughed. That was funny. Is that everything?
Everything that you like?
Oh yeah. Did you want? Yeah. Tell what.
Oh, what I like?
Yeah.
I was gonna say one of my favorite parts was the relationship or dynamics or whatever between Rachel McAdams and Doctor Strange. I don't know the history. I had never seen a Doctor Strange movie before. I guess I had seen a few things where he showed up, but I didn't know any of their relationship history. And I thought that it was really well told, this story of like these two characters that love each other and like something's getting in the way, and like that conversation where he tells her, like, where he admits like the reason why is because I'm scared, I've always been scared or whatever. And I just felt like that conversation was so real and it was so good. And
you would like the relationship.
Yes, I like the romance part, but it's like, it's a sad romance. It's kind of a tragedy because they can't end up being together, but I just thought it was beautiful. And I used to really get so bugged by Rachel McAdams and her acting. I felt like she was mad in every character. I have just grown so much respect for her ever since she did Eurovision.
Oh, no, stop.
Well, I'm just saying, in that movie, she did a character.
I thought you were about to say, like, an actual good movie, like, About Time, and be like, yeah, that's amazing.
Well, I never saw About Time until after Eurovision. So in that movie, too, she plays a not just the same character I'd always been seeing, and she isn't just angry all the time. And in Eurovision, she's not angry all the time, and she's actually really happy. And in this one, also, I thought I just have so much respect for her acting. She did such a good job of making it real, even though she's in the middle of a big commercial Marvel movie. Like, she kept it feeling very grounded.
Yeah, I remembered a few more Raimi
Go for it.
Sam stuff. So
Sammy or Rami.
Rami. This is also why I love the movie, is it felt very much more dark than the other Marvel movies, which I very much enjoyed, and it reminded me a lot of his early work too, because he started in making horror films, and some of those, like Evil Dead, it's a lot of like demon possession stuff. And so there's some scenes where she has to go possess the body, use this book, which totally looks like Necronomicon, and which made me laugh because that's the Book of the Dead, and that essentially like awakens the dead. And there's a lot of like scenes where essentially the spirit comes in the room, and then you see like the cup, like it looks like waves are in the cup, and there's like all these just moments essentially leading up to her getting possessed, and then by herself, remember, from a different dimension.
Oh, right.
And it's very Sam Raimi to do something like that, a demon possession.
Yeah.
And then release all those souls that he turns into a cape, and then have the dead, who's the guy, Doctor Strange, fight. And it's just,
I thought, yeah, that whole part, like, honestly, even though it could have been taken as really creepy and not everyone would probably enjoy that part, I was just kind of smiling. I thought it was pretty clever, and it was almost funny.
I very much enjoyed this. I see everyone's nitpicks, and I understand. But personally, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. As we were walking away from the theater, I looked around. There was a lot of upset parents because it was opening night, and all the other Marvel movies are very kid-friendly. This is PG-13, so it's not a kid movie.
But there's some scary things in it. Yeah, it's not a kid show.
Yeah, and my mom called me, and she's like, I want to see that. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, it has a bunch of moments that I don't think my mom would like. But it might be little enough that she'd be okay with. I don't know. It's like, it's sensitive. She's really... One time, I was watching one of Sam Raimi's movies down in my basement with my brothers, and the very end of the movie, the girl goes, "I'll swallow your soul!" And my mom walked in right at that part. All of a sudden, she runs upstairs, and then all of a sudden I hear the loud thudding coming down the stairs, and my dad comes in and says, "Get this crap out of my house!"
Oh, no.
So, or he said demonic stuff out of my house or something like that.
Oh, no.
So, same director, and this movie has a little bit of that. So, kind of this undertone of just coming from horror background.
Right.
So I loved it. Could see some pretty upset parents walking out of the theater because I'm like, oh, they're going to be staying up with their kids tonight because they're going to be having bad dreams.
Yeah. I liked that, yes, he did tap into some dark magic and do all that, but it was for a good purpose. And so I just felt like it never felt too heavy or dark for me.
Yeah, which is surprising, especially because you don't like jump scares, which there's a lot of those. He built up some moments. And
there were jump scares?
Yeah, there's a moment where they were running through that like basement thing or whatever, and then all of a sudden it would get quiet.
Well, I would jump on those. It's not like I was immune to the jump scares. I still jumped at the jump scares, didn't I?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I said you don't like jump scares, so there's some of that. And I was surprised that you still liked it.
Yeah, what can I mean, well, I don't know. I'm just used to it. I'm just used to my jump scaredness. Okay,
and then, so do we recommend it? Well, I guess just we're the only people that liked it, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know how to answer that.
There was one person I know that enjoyed it from work, but his favorite movie is Avatar, so take that what you will.
I still need to see that movie.
And
but then you've said...
He also loves every single Marvel movie, so it could be literally the worst movie on the planet, and he'd be like, that was amazing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but he's trying to get me into Star Trek, and I've started it. It's kind of fun, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what have you seen lately, and what are you looking forward to? We saw a ton of really good movies, 3 of which are in my top 100.
Okay, I'll talk about those 3. Most recently, we saw Cube, Hypercube.
Cube 2, Hypercube.
Cube 2, Hypercube. It was intense, and it was a thriller, and I said afterwards, even though I was laughing the whole time through it, I told you that I am not in the mood to watch another thriller. And you were like, no, it was a comedy. That doesn't count. It
was a comedy. You literally laughed the entire movie. The very beginning, you were like, oh, is this going to be scary? And then, like, right after the girl gets, like, pulled up, which was actually down because of the gravity shift, afterwards, you were just laughing nonstop. And then, there's some cringy moments, too. You were like, oh, yeah. Like the old woman, like, every time she came on the screen.
I was like, stop. I just did not like the script they gave her, and, her acting was so over the top. Oh, no.
How about your favorite line? I wish I was smarter.
Oh, yeah. I wish I was smarter.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I was laughing the whole time, but it was, I guess, a thriller, and nothing was making sense, but that was kind of what they were going for, kind of, but you could still follow along. And It was really dramatic. Not really dramatic, but just like...
Oh, and this is from an actual attorney. She said that the lawyer said everything correctly.
No, I did not
this is
say
the
that.
first movie...
That's what you interpreted my silence as.
that you said was correct, because most movies
No,
you're like,
I didn't say it was
that
correct.
is not right. But this movie you're
All
like...
that they did...
Yeah, she said it right.
Well, okay, no.
Because she said a
But
subsidiarity.
remember
Whatever.
She said the words a subsidiary correctly. Oh, she must be an attorney. No.
Yeah, she was.
No, so I did criticize though that it's like she's not acting like an attorney. She's not talking enough. So
But that's
that
because
one
there was a
thing.
psychopath
And
running around with a knife, screaming at people.
also, her outfit did not make any sense, and I get that they did that so that you'd be like, "Oh, what? Everyone in the audience is surprised when she says I'm an
Or
attorney."
are you saying all attorneys are just like you? I don't know.
No, I am not. But I've never there needs to be a reason for that dress that she was wearing.
She was at a fancy party.
No, I thought she said she was just at a bar.
Oh, she was clubbing.
Yeah, if she was just clubbing,
She was looking for rich guys, okay?
But that dress was way too fancy to be just clubbing. It would had to have been like a formal event. And also, I just don't think if it was a formal event where she might see peers, I don't think she would have worn that revealing of a dress. I don't know. Her outfit did not make any sense, and they didn't explain it. They could have explained it, but they did not. And then she did not talk very much, which I get. The other characters were very, very talkative. So she's like, okay, whatever. They can just do the talking. And then the only reason I didn't criticize what she said, later. Oh, but it was hilarious when she was like, let me just say, if they kidnapped me, it's for the ransom. Just like, I'm an attorney. I make so much money. Oh, gag. Anyways, and then later, the only thing she said, that was supposed to show that she is an attorney or whatever was...
Oh, she said settle.
She says, you should settle. And she said that company, I represent them. It's like, that's all that they gave her. So sure, I'm not criticizing that because
this movie is 100% accurate.
So anyways, it was a good twist at the end. Did not expect that main character
Did it make your top 10 movies?
No.
Yes, it's so good. I love this movie so much. It's the best movie ever. It was literally the greatest night of my life. I had cup op, which
he
was
was
amazing.
so excited.
And then I had a dill pickle with cup op, which actually is a really good combination because you got your really spicy with your sweet. And then I was also watching Cube 2 with the person I love, so it was like a perfect night. I was like in heaven.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun seeing you point out all those things and be like, I am in heaven right now. I'm so happy.
Yes. And I just got a movie poster for Cube 2, and it's hanging up right now.
That movie poster is super dope, especially because you put it in the poster frame that lights up, and it looks super cool.
Well, it makes me smile when I see it because it's such a bad movie. It's the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. Oh, the acting was just, oh, heavens.
Oh, it's so cringy.
Heavens.
It's so
I
beautiful.
do think the main girl had the best acting chops, but yeah, you can just tell the director was not doing a good job.
Oh, are you kidding me? He did everything perfect. There was shots that were sideways a bunch of times and people were standing slanted, and then there was shots that were so close up in your face you could see their nostril hairs, and there was half their faces were cut off, and then they would get so incredibly close, and then there's some over the head shots, and so you get to see the people's just tops of their heads, because why not? Oh my gosh. And then there's one moment too, you were like, oh, I'm going to be sick, because it kept spinning. It was remember they kept walking around the room, the cube, and then the cameras were spinning around them.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they just kept spinning the camera. I was like, why?
Oh, so good.
It was also really hilarious.
Why not is the real question.
The various dead versions were pretty funny. Dead versions of the people.
Yes, when they were spinning in the air after they made some sweet in the air spinning.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden become old and mummies, basically. Or not mummies.
Yes. I just love your reaction. Are they getting older? Which actually, now I figured out something watching it this time, because I think this is the fourth time I've seen it, maybe fifth. Oh, and I was surprised too. I was very worried about watching it again with you, because I just watched it last week alone while I was editing, and I rewatched it with Tatiana, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just as good, maybe even better. And there's a moment where the guy shows up, and you're like, who is that guy? And then he's like, yeah, it's me. And the guy, because he got his eye stabbed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he looked so different.
Yeah, Simon. So Simon, I bet, walked through that room where they were spinning, and he got stuck in there, and he tried to get out as quickly as possible, and I bet he aged super fast.
Oh, yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm a genius.
Also, there's that room where it speeds up time so that she's like, and he's like, because he's still in the doorway, remember? Anyways, so those were my thoughts on that movie. I also saw, the first one was Dragged Across Concrete, and then Brawl in Cell Block 99. Dragged Across Concrete. It was well made, and I did not mind the slow pace. I liked that. And luckily, it was kind of melodramatic, and so I was able to kind of shake off how terrible.
Well, and I made you close your eyes during all the bad parts.
Well, yeah, you did, but I still knew what happened to that woman that was the mother, the new mother. I was like, how dare he kill that character off? That is so cruel. And there are just a lot of other really, really sad parts of the plot. And I'm like, this is not a happy movie. But it had some good, it had some good philosophical topics and it had you thinking and all that. But I was just so mad at how cruel he was, and like how cruel he made some of the bad characters, the ones that you said were masked the whole time. He makes those more soulless.
Well, the worst part is because eventually I plan to be a stay-home dad, and so there was a lot of because you're like, oh, this is us. I mean, you're like, you'll probably have to do something like this and have me go to work because I'm going to want to stay home with the baby.
Try to motivate me, because she's on her way to work, and then she's like, she goes back, and her husband's like, what are you doing? And he like doesn't even let her into the house, and she's like, I just can't, I'm not ready for work. He's like, you have already used up all your maternity leave and all of your sick days for the entire year. You need to go to work so you don't lose your job. And she's like, no, but I don't want to. How can I when the baby's there? And he's like, listen, you make more money than me. Our baby needs shoes. You've just got to do it. And I was like, Jordan, you're going to have to do that kind of a motivational talk with me sometimes. And and then he kills her off on her first day back to work. A cruel, gruesome murder. Oh, it was terrible.
And I love her boss. You're like, oh, what a drama teacher.
Oh, he was acting like a drama teacher?
Well, because he was like, your absence was a weight upon us.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, he was acting very dramatic.
Yes.
Like, kind of like a thespian.
Yes, it was so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing. Also, in my top 100, amazing movie. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've already talked about it on the pod, so.
My favorite part of that movie was the scene where he was eating really slow, and then Mel Gibson's like, how does he say it?
Well, I've been listening to you eat that for the last half an hour.
And a single ant could have eaten it faster than you.
Yeah.
Love it. He's like, I gotta make it last. It's got, we got time.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how I'm a slow eater. It was funny.
And he's like, he reaches out to hand him a Mento or a mint, and he's like, I'm still enjoying the aftertaste.
Yeah.
Not all of us are.
Oh, yeah.
The writing's amazing.
He had burped. Yes. Yeah.
It just has all the scenes in movies that are too afraid to do.
Oh.
You get a chance to actually see essentially in between the comic strips, like those scenes where people are just sitting around waiting.
True.
And you get to see that dialogue and that dynamic between characters. And I mean, I could go on and on. I'm obsessed with S. Craig Zahler's work, so much so I started reading his graphic novel, which I cannot wait for his second one. And I have been torturing my poor little wife.
Oh yeah, we need to finish reading that where I get to read it, but in a comedic style.
Yes.
With funny voices.
And we will review that as well. And I was just wondering if you wanted to say about Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yeah, I liked that one more than Dragged Across Concrete because it wasn't quite as cruel and heartless. Just kidding. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, the first one wasn't heartless. It was just really rude to our hearts. And this one, the Brawl in Cell Block Tango 99. I swear there's something called Tango in the Cell Block or Tango in Cell Block 99. I'll have to look that up. I guess I could right now on Google. But anyways, I liked that one. Yeah, that one. I mean, I still looked away on the really violent parts. You helped me know when to look away.
Yeah, when he's smashing his skull against the ground and
thank you.
Dragging it across the concrete.
You're so funny. Oh, yeah, that's right, because you were saying, like, Dragged Across Concrete, that title could have applied more to this movie than the other one.
Yes, because he literally drags him across the concrete.
Yeah. It was very clever. I was invested in the story the whole time, and you're just following one character, and it's easy to follow, and
he writes the
so
greatest villains too. Oh my gosh, they are so heartless, so soulless. And the best part is you got like the good and bad people, both sides are very complex characters and they're dimensional.
Complex here.
And then he writes a villain that is so far beyond this world, has no soul.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that in Cell Block?
Try the guy that said, I'm going to take abort your baby.
Oh
and
yeah,
cut
da da
off
da da da. Oh, I
Yes.
forgot. I guess I blocked that from my memory. Okay, okay. There is some heartless part in this movie too, but it doesn't happen. She keeps the baby. She gets saved because of everything her husband did for her in the prison, and then ultimately being a martyr, you could say.
I blocked it from my mind.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah. It was. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
I need
liked
a
that one.
hospital. All right, come on out. Bam! Oh, that's so good. That was Dragged Across Concrete.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, I cannot say enough how much I love those movies, and I hope
Yeah.
as Kurt Zoller comes back to film, I know he's having taken kind of a break and doing his books, but I hope he comes back because his movies are so good.
Yeah, I know you love him. Another thing too about Dragged Across Concrete is like Vince Vaughn, his character. You and I talked a lot about it afterwards of like what did the voicemail mean or because we didn't hear the voicemail, but like what happened. But I'm pretty sure that his girlfriend turned him down on his proposal to get married, so that was like very sad. Whereas at least in Cell Block, he like they have marital issues at the beginning, but then they work through it, and like in the end, like he does all this because of his love for her, and he's able to. It's super sad, like that he dies and he can't be there for her and the baby, but at least like they still love each other at the end. It's not like a heartbreak story of the other Vince Vaughn character in Dragged Across Concrete.
Yeah, well, I think you said you almost got emotional. I got teary-eyed when he was talking to the baby. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yeah, I think I did get teary-eyed too. Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.